ဒုတိယချက်ဆိုတာဗုဒ္ဓဝါဒဆိုတာကသိခံရမယ်ခန္တီဝါဒသို့သောအဲ့ခန္တီဝါဒအတိုင်းကျင့်သုံးလိုက်မယ်ဆိုရင်မိမိတို့နိုင်ငံရဲ့လူမျိုးလည်းပျောက်သွားမယ်
Military dio dua vade, roi vadun tarvase goli foila chuto goli sajon.
Hoje bade, iba iyan oshurumulo hoje bade, rakno girdi gale.
Bedansa guri mari khalai bade, turaki Rohingya military adde mane eka kahaduna hata busamma zunate.
In August 2017, the Burmese military launched a large-scale security clearance operation, and that drove out close to 800,000 Rohingya children, women, elderly people, and babies across the border from Myanmar to neighboring Bangladesh. And this was happening in my own country. This is the largest camp of genocide survivors in today's world. This is the embodiment of the Burmese genocide and its impact. It's felt across the border in Bangladesh in the form of the world's largest camp.
Gorfura di fele. Rahal fara khai jumurita re hara kegi. Ede din hara mada fani shar hara tara zaina fari. Ara ede boita kede sono mada military zaira military 2000 lati. Bedan dedun ashir mane hazan bedan de shere ase. Bedan sa guri mari khalai. أنا بشوف قاش إذا مرت وزاري بعد أبغى صار ما شيء ده. military مرن بيجينا مليارات ترى ما ده فرادي فلا ده. بات ثاني كانوا.
လူမျိုးလဲတူတယ်ဘာသာလဲတူတယ် ONC နိုင်ငံတွေကနေပြီးတော့ဒီပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေကိုခွဲခြားပြီးတော့မျှတစွာပြီးမြန်မာနိုင်ငံအပေါ်မှာလဲတာဝန်ကြီးတရားပြည်မနေအောင်အကောင်းဆုံးသောငြိမ်းချမ်းရေးတစ်ခုလို့ဘုန်းကြီးကတော့မြင်ထားတယ်
Myanmar or Burma, my country, is a patchwork of different ethnic communities living across the different regions. The country is about twice the size of England and about 50 million people. We became a nation state as a result of the British Empire dissolving itself towards the end of the Second World War. In 1947-48, about the time India was partitioned, we regained our independence. And before, we were just a cluster of feudal kingdoms.
Number 10 Downing Street, making Burma an independent state outside the British Commonwealth.
အဲ့ဒီကာလနဲ့1948 50နောက်ပိုင်းရခိုင်တွေနဲ့ပြည်ကြသူတို့ရဲ့ရသင့်ရတဲ့တိုင်းဒေသအခွင့်အရေးတွေမရတဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်
Both Muslim Rohingyas and Rakhine Buddhists, they started independence or separatist movements.
Military government যাচ্ছে চারার মাঝার জাজিরুম গতি খনকিদিন জুলুম সহ্য করি না পারি Hada zasan revolution mazara party maze party ko jina hacha dari murakul liam.
When the Rohingyas started fighting the government, there was war for several years. And then at the time when they reached an agreement and they stopped fighting, the Rohingyas were promised that, as citizens, they would be recognized as native.
Mustaqbal, hada jase Burma ye jase arar gyago jila colonel unji taraya. Itana arar se cylinder gorai hacher gosaji Burmare ashtohani zobindium. Ezura gorumus diumulo hoyara tanara desharaki. Zatonna ze asing diazar haidamaze. Ora cylinder goranga cylinder goribala Musalman ko hurikare. Ora aja dejot bagyo ko ora aizo ko ora ara rajyum ora map gujju mangoji.
One of their demands was broadcast for their language. It's undeniable. The Burma Broadcasting Service, had such kind of program.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Atau harta maye Budbar. Budbare. Hazbaze kolon. Hazbaze kole sobaze. Sobay nirdey.
In 1962, the army took power in a coup d'etat, and General Nguyen, he was a dictator for 26 years.
Politically and economically, he was a failure.
Nguyen had an idea that the Burman would be Buddhists, that they would look like him. He wanted people not to look like Indians, and he didn't like Muslims, he didn't like Christians. So he first started by expelling foreigners, meaning all the Westerners who had been there during the British time.
And Nguyen turned to the issue of the Rohingyas, this distinct Muslim population that were so far officially recognized as an ethnic community. Nguyen's deputy, General Kinyo, chief of Nguyen's military intelligence, in his book discovered that as early as 1966, the Burmese military started to see the Rohingya as a problem.
British governmentခေတ်ကာလတဲ့ကိုကဒါတွေကဒီ problem တွေကပေါ်ခဲ့တာပဲ။ဘာဆိုတော့ဟိုဘက်ကဘင်္ဂလားဒေ့ရှ်ကနေလူတွေခေါ်လာတယ်။ခေါ်လာပြီးတော့မှဒီဟာမြေတွေပေးတယ်။သို့တော်ညာလဲဟိုဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့ဘင်္ဂလားဒေ့ရှ်ဘက်ကနေဝင်လာတဲ့သူတွေကတော့အဘာလို့လက်မခံနိုင်ဘူးလေ။
The claim was that there were many illegal immigrants from Bangladesh because there was a war of independence going on. They started a military campaign which resulted in over 250,000 Rohingyas escaping to Bangladesh.
That was the very first wave of exodus of Rohingyas. That happened in 1978.
It was quite young. I still remember some things. There was a shooting by the Burmese military. Hundreds of families took shelter. And then later, everybody left. This is called Nagami Operation, King Dragon Operations. We left, I was very young, and I was put in a basket. And my another sibling was put in the other basket. My father carried. I was crying. My hands, legs were very like finger, so thin.
The 1978 wave was the direct result of centrally organized forced expulsion organized by the central government in Rangoon.
I still remember the scream of the people every day. Every day, tens of hundreds of children pass away, die without food, malnutrition, dehydration. After bilateral agreement, we were sent back to Burma. When we returned there, I see the only jungle. House is covered by jungle.
I think Ne Win had no choice because the international community had proof that these people came from Burma.
He proceeded to essentially copycat what the Nazis did to the Jews in 1938. His legal advisors come up with the citizenship law. The intention was to make sure that Rohingyas were no longer entitled to either basic rights or citizenship rights. Anyone who had not resided in Burma as natives by 1824, they could not be entitled to automatic Burmese citizenship.
ဒီဖက်နဲ့နိုင်ငံတိုင်းထဲမှာနိုင်ငံသားဥပဒေရှိတယ်မြန်မာနိုင်ငံမှာလို့ရှိရင်1982ဥပဒေသည်မြန်မာနိုင်ငံသားဥပဒေဖြစ်တယ်အဲဒီလိုဥပဒေတွေနဲ့
Now that is impossible because independence came in 1948 and whoever had been living in the country before that, many of the people in Myanmar, not only the Rohingya, during the British period, did not have any papers.
So they were natives, but they were falsely framed as Bengali migrants.
তো আর এখন বাংলাদেশ তো গিয়ে ন আর এরিয়া জন্মস্থান এর ওই আর হ্যাঁ পদ্ধতি আছে আর যে ঘর আছে ইয়ান্ডা আছে 1890 মেজে এর মসজিদ ইয়ান মধ্যে খনিকিয়া খনদা আছে দান সৎকা সারা আর দা আছে গ্রেট গ্র্যান্ডফাদার ইয়ানোর দা আছে নিজের ফুসার ওতু আর দাদারা দাদা আছে ইয়ান গড়া বাইয়ে মসজিদ ইয়ান এত পদ্ধতি বাইন্দে ইন হে 13 জিনিস আজও আছে এখন ছবি আনো গনে ইয়ান সায়েরা তখন নেই আর বাবা খবর দাও ধর তুমি তোমরা দে আর আসলে গরমে দেরা আদাস তো সিদান তোমরা দে
The law was brought in as a weapon of persecution. The law wasn't pursued as an initiative to establish citizenship. The law was coded to primarily persecute the Rohingyas and to disenfranchise them as an ethnic community.
Myanmar, when at independence, it was one of the richest countries in Southeast Asia. And by the time they left office, it was one of the poorest nations in the whole world. One of the biggest mistakes Ne Win did was that in 1987, Ne Win had made all the big bank notes, 100 all those big notes, illegal.
He just declared that all the money was worthless. So everybody suffered.
Our family become bankrupt. But all the monies, around 1 million, blocked.
အဲ့ဒါလေးဒုတိယဒုက္ခတစ်ခုအဲ့ဒီမှာစူးပြီးတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ကတိတ်တိတ်ပုံနဲ့ဒီအရေးခင်းကိုဖန်တီးလိုက်တယ်
At the time of 1988 uprising, I was the regional strike committee general secretary.
The whole country, there was a democratic uprising. So it was started from Rangoon. All the schools, including primary schools, were shut down by the Burmese military government. As students, we joined in democratic movement, protesting in Rakhine State for democracy. And the whole night and whole day shouting, democracy, democracy, democracy. All the races, all the religions were together. All the students were together. There was no any conflict in between any others in 1988.
88မှာအခုအရေးခင်းဖြစ်တာလေအဲ့တော့ထောင်လိုင်းရင်မှုဘွားပဲရှိသေးတယ်ထောင်လိုင်းရင်မှုပဲအဲ့တော့ဖြစ်လာတဲ့ခါကျတော့မှဗိုလ်ချုပ်ကြီးနေဝင်းကအဲ့ဒီအခြေအနေမှန်နေ तू မသိဘူး သူ့ဝန်ကြီးတွေကလည်းမတင်ပြရဲဘူးဘိုးချုပ်ကြီးစောမောင်နဲ့အဘနဲ့သွားတွေ့ပြီးတော့မှအခြေအနေမှန်တွေကိုသွားတင်ပြလိုက်ညဘက်မှာတညလုံးသူစဉ်းစားပြီးတော့မှနောက်တစ်နေ့မှာ
At that time, Aung San Suu Kyi had gained some popularity. People began to know about her, and she formed the National League for Democracy.
မျောလင်းချက်ဖြစ်ခဲ့တယ်ဆိုတာကမျောမှန်းခဲ့တယ်ဆိုတာကတိဒေါအောင်ဆန်းစုကြည်ဒီကျွန်တော်လူလေးကောင်းဆောင်ဘိုးကျောင်းဆိုင်ရဲ့တမီးတော်ဖြစ်တယ်ဒီအတွက်ပဲယဉ်ကျေးခဲ့တာဘာဖြစ်လို့လဲဆိုတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့တိုင်းပြည်မှာလူနည်းစုတွေအခွင့်အရေးတွေအများကြီးဆုံးရှုံးတော့အထူးသဖြင့် Muslim နဲ့ Christian ဘာသာ
When the army took over in 1988 September 18 they allowed us to form parties and they promised that they will have a free and fair election and hand the power to the whichever party won. So I believe their promise. That was my monumental mistake.
The Rohingyas were already a marked population for persecution. When they decided to participate in democracy uprising, when they decided to support Aung San Suu Kyi and National League for Democracy, in the eyes of the Burmese army, they became doubly guilty. Before they were guilty for simply existing. Now they were expressing their political support for Aung San Suu Kyi and NLD party. And NLD and Aung San Suu Kyi were seen as the greatest threat to the military. They began to institute measures to essentially make life for Rohingya in their own areas utterly impossible.
Nasaka
Nasaka was essentially the Burmese equivalent of SS. Nasaka was the executioner.
Era le mane. Hobaga edere li. Era ga dimanja ga yiwe jaga ba le so yin. Eri neza dita ma awen twet de ko. Ho edere li. Bangladesh ka ne wen la de edere wo. Abaru ga ဧည့်သည်ကိုလက်မခံနိုင်ဘူးဒီမှာနေတဲ့လူဒီမှာမွေးတဲ့လူဆိုရင်တော့ဟုတ်တယ်မှန်ပြီရွာတွေကရခိုင်ရွာပဲနာမည်တွေကတိုးတော်ညာလဲရခိုင်ကမရှိတော့ဘူးမွတ်စလင်တွေပဲရောက်
All kinds of restrictive measures were put in place. Severe restriction on physical movement. Nasaka started to extort money.
Tulor gunari indilia बाद शुरू हो दिया बाद एमआई गौर गौर ऐसे गुमाने से ऐसे तंग नगुले बाद गुनारी लोर मारे बाद भूगन्ने
အဲ့ဒီလိုသွားတဲ့လူတွေကိုထောက်လန်းရေးလို့တစ်မျိုးရဲလို့တစ်မျိုးကနေပြီးတော့မင်းတို့ငါသွားနေတယ်ဆိုပြီးတော့ဆက်ကြီးတွေကောက်တယ်
Guru go hari divela lo phasa tuli lo phasa fuwa go tuli lo phasa hari divela lo phasa
ရက်တည်နိုင်တယ်ဘာဖြစ်လို့အစိုးရပေးတဲ့ဟိုဟာနဲ့နေဆက်မှာရှိတဲ့ဒီကုံစင်းတို့နဲ့သူတို့မနေနိုင်ဘူးလေ
নলে আর গরনের কি লাগে তারা যে হয় না আর মারি
মানুষ লজাগয় মর্তান লজাগয় কাদায়রে লজায়রে হড় হড় লজাগয় হন হব কেসুফিরিয়া কেসুফিরি নয়
The population was extracted forced labor to build the military who will come and oppress them
စီးနဲ့ကန်းတဲ့စနစ်နဲ့ကောင်းအောင်လို့ထိမ့်ပေးထားတာလို့အဲ့တော့လူအခွင့်အရေးဖောက်ဖျက်တာတွေမရှိဘူးလို့
মানে হালত জায়গা বানাবা ডর ফেরা কল হাড়ে হাড়ে গড়াবা সরকারে
মলকু
Kenyon was the guy in charge of institutionalizing killings and destructions of the Rohingya to the point that Rohingya community would be wiped out. Kenyon should be persecuted for not simply crimes against humanity, for genocide.
လူကြီးထင်ချုပ်ဖို့လိုအပ်တယ်
I was taken to military outpost and I was severely beaten up for not complying in forced labor sector. And following days, I decided to leave my country, Burma.
In 1991 and 92, the Burmese military operations in northern Rakhine State triggered another exodus. And this time, according to the military intelligence statistics, about 270,000 Rohingyas fled the country.
But in 2007, the economic situation was so bad that the monks decided to come out and to protest. And everybody was very happy because they felt now there was somebody that would take care of the people.
အဲ့လို main ဖြစ်တဲ့စာအုပ်ကိုတန်ဃာတွေကသူတို့ယင်တဲ့ကခံစားချက်တွေသူတို့ယင်တဲ့ခံစားချက်ဆိုတဲ့နေရာမှာပြောမှဆိုရင်ဒီတခါမှတွေ
Monks throughout the history had been seen as a force for good, rising up against the British colonial rule, or against the Japanese fascist occupation, or the Burmese armies, the repression against the majority Buddhist population. Monks were always on the right side of history. They were always supporting the people.
I mean, that's what I tanga ye can my pikema, was no Josa Gayade, Atokade, a John Yadia, China Law the machine.
And that was when the military realized that the monks, they had to be controlled. The army sent truckloads of military commandos to hundreds of Buddhist monasteries. Hundreds of monks fled the country, and thousands of monks were jailed.
Everybody was shocked. They did not think that the leadership would crack down. That's where the crisis of confidence came for them. So the military decided that they needed to change.
ဘာဝန်ကြီးချုပ်ဆိုပြီးတရားတောင်းပေးပြီးတော့အဲ့ဒီပထမအဆုံးအာဆီယံအစည်းအဝေးကိုတက်ခံလိုက်တယ် Mr. Lee Kuan Yew ကြီးကဆိုရင်ကောင်းတဲ့အကြံဉာဏ်တွေပေးတယ်ခင်ဗျားတို့က military government နဲ့ military government ဆိုတော့ကဘာကနိုင်ငံတကာကနေမကြိုက်ဘူးတဲ့ civil government ဖြစ်အောင် civilian government ဖြစ်အောင်လုပ်ပါတဲ့ opposition ပေါ့လေ opposition party တွေကိုတဲ့တိတ်ပြီးနှိပ်ကွပ်တာမျိုးမလုပ်ပါနဲ့တဲ့
So the Constitution of 2008, drafted by the military to legalize and perpetuate its stay in power, stipulates that the military is above the law.
The Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Border Affairs were governed by the generals.
The military allocated 25% of the parliamentary seats to itself.
And if you want to change the constitution to remove the military, then you needed more than 75% of the votes. You cannot get more than 75% of the votes because the military has 25% of the seats.
And their influence is a bit reduced, but still formidable.
In 2010, the military held elections, but nobody believed that the military was really going to change.
So they went ahead and held the elections, and surely they won the landslide and they were in power, and then 10 days later, Aung San Suu Kyi was released.
They allowed her to run in the by-elections so that the world would say, oh, from being a prisoner, she's now one of the political leaders in the country.
We hope that this will be the beginning of a new era where there will be more emphasis on the role of the people in the everyday politics of a country.
The military was completely shocked that the NLD party remained extremely popular.
As the country started to change within the military, there were some who thought it was going too fast.
So they manufactured the Rohingya crisis.
It started with the story of a Buddhist woman being raped and killed by Rohingya Muslims.
The pictures of the murder victim spread by information ministry went viral. What has not been proven is that this woman was raped.
After the woman had been raped and killed, and so-called Buddhists stopped the bus and brought 10 Muslim passengers and killed them in retaliation.
Before 2012, the world didn't know about it. It was a silent process to destroy people. You had no human rights. You were oppressed, arresting, killing, also raping, tortures, but no burning of homes. But after 8 June, the burning started.
The Rakhine villagers were organized. By whom is a more difficult question. Letters were received by village administrators prior to the violence. They were told that all Rakhine villages needed to supply manpower to the operation. Buses came to pick them up on the morning of the 8th and 9th of June. We think thousands of people probably. We talked to some of the people who were bussed down. They said they were given free food when they arrived and they were told where to go. Some were told to go and burn down Rohingya villages and others were told to block escape routes.
Military kolla se hong hoila ma ara hudda utte dian mapara se mo military police Nasaka tara hazar ro porjonto daibo oli utte kada yada hel utte mara boyar da se tara hota tara ki hoyo hono hobo dur hono ara hoine bari ayada se ende hel utte endu udino tore ende hara ma da se dan dangoli da dare dekhu bare du bajja dore
Solvasi debat fa dibala zurotot tarwade manush noasuito gole de foro sohojes munno dano hore no horonar bade manush jetto guli maje dumuri mostot de mastama manush bishigole manush jetto de yer he durma guli maji
amatin tu eli ada sa saimwar liar hojonte dur hojonto nada nada ada manush doli thanaloi bade da se ende bachur gujali liar dan da se abajam bajaddi
Zamanında Mamorovic Murat gaya military तो मारा मार दिया वानी लोगों तीन योलियर Murat उड़र के दिहरे माया हुआ अष्टवस हो जा नौरगवा शोड़ा वा साइबल हो जा लोयन Murat उड़र के दिहरे military मुंडी वारी गुली मारी मारी भलाई
थोड़े दूर मार दिले कहना है गया दास मोरे इंग्लिश किसको लगी मोरे थोड़े दूर मार दिले तू की गुली भी तो तुम्हारा होदे मुसलमानों ने मारी भलाई होनो भी सामने होदे आरा होदे ओतु होदे गया होदे
आरा नि दे गोर को तमा गोला यारे आरा हजम माय होइन आलो गोरी नि गई मिलिटरी आशो दोने तरो है नि दे रे गोर मारा गोला यारे द्वार बंदी होला ये द्वार बंदी फिरी बादल माल होरले आरा मुख बंदी होला ये मुख बंदी फिर ताराते जेन गोनो मन हो एन आरा ओस्ता कल गजे
All Rohingya once their villages were burnt down, were funneled into what is now the camp complex, where 120 to 140,000 Rohingya are basically imprisoned. They are concentration camps, detention camps. It's not intercommunal violence. This is the Burmese state organizing and watching over the destruction of Rohingya villages and the rounding up of hundreds of thousands of Rohingya into camps. It was instigated by the government-controlled press, where they had front-page news about the danger of Muslims and the rape and murder of Buddhists by Muslims. And this was to create a kind of a duty upon the Rakhine Buddhists to protect themselves against this threat, a threat which is invented and propagated by the Burmese state.
fair thing she did, Tabo. Fair thing she did, who you hear, when we nangani, my channel and nangani, Myashili, either do 40 to Kuwait to Fajide, Nangani Gani Bido. How long we love it? Yabido, you like me, Fuyen, Tibetana, the Mananga Bule, window and boom of Shido.
Nane, Jana, အမျိုးသားရေးအမြင်နဲ့နားထောင်မွေးလာတဲ့ကလေးတွေအကုန်လုံးတိုင်းပြည်ရဲ့အန္တရာယ်ဖြစ်ဘာသာကိုဖျက်ဆီးမယ်သာသနာကိုဖျက်ဆီးမယ်နောက်ဆုံးလူရည်တိုးရရခိုင်ပြည်လူနေချက်တိုင်းပြည်ကိုလူယူမယ်တောက်လေ
Wirathu, who dons the yellow robe or saffron robe as a monk, is one of the leading hate figures. I mean, there's also another Buddhist monk named Pamokha. Yeah, he is also one of the cohorts of Wirathu, and they belong to racist anti-Muslim organization called the National Defense League of Race and Faith, and they want Burma to be only for Buddhist. This organization was established with the blessing of the Burmese military.
Mondilo, Bengali, Molo, Rohingya, Molo for the Mondia Mapavene, the man of Mango, Punya. Padana Kupjadana, Mobene, Nanga Chocha, Anna Guba, Funloya met a chini mu, Johnny de Givat Kupsaba.
O Tudori, Lama Tojonda, in the Palanguri, actually, Kuala Begun Hokumote. Dunia Burma Hokumote, Burma or Rengu to Daidoru, Burma, neither rather the Inumare, the Shamare.
In 2015 November, the Burmese military held another round of general elections, and the Aung San Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy won in a landslide, and the whole country was euphoric.
In 2015, he won nearly 80%. So the people's support to her as well as NLD is sustained throughout. But we must tolerate so far the army working together with them, willingly or unwillingly.
2015 general electionမှာအထူးထွေရွေးကောက်ပွဲမှာ NLD ကနေ Muslim candidates ဘာမှဆိုင်မှာ3-4ရက်လောက်ရွေးခဲ့တယ်စိတ်ထဲမှာပေါ့နော်တိမြာကြီး3-4ရက်လောက်ရွေးခဲ့နာမည်တက်တော့စိတ်နာမည်တက်တယ်နာမည်ထွက်ပြီးတော့သူပြန်ဘလို့ပယ်လဲဆိုတော့ Muslim တွေကိုအမတ် NLD ကနေရွေးလိုက်ပြီဆိုရင်15ရွေးကောက်ပွဲမှာအမျိုးသားရေးအစွန်းရောက်သမားနဲ့ဖုန်ကြီးတွေကကလားနိုင်ငံသားမွတ်စလင်တွေကိုအမတ်ရွေးခိုင်းတယ်ဆိုပြီးတော့သူနိုင်ပြန်စီရေးစီ
Put
only recently that the government started using Bengali to identify the Rohingya people.
You mean the people who are known to the world as the Rohingya? They want themselves to be called Rohingya. That's why we have to call them Rohingya. But actually, it's not their... It's wrong.
It's actually wrong to use the word Bengali. They are not from Bangladesh. They're from Myanmar.
စစ်ထုတ်လိုက်တဲ့အခါမှာနိုင်ငံသားဖြစ်တဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေကနိုင်ငံသားဖြစ်ပြီးတော့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံအတွင်းမှာပဲ
With regard to citizenship, a strategy with specific timeline has been developed to move forward the national verification process.
এবার ঠেঠে গজ্জিতে কান্নাসে মকসুদ আরা বুঝি দিয়ে যে আরা হন সরকারের হালতর বুঝি না পারি যে আরা 22 তারিখ করে আছে সারা ফারা আগাগুড়া গুল্লাম বেগুন দালা করে ফেলি যে 22 তারিখ অগস্ট মাঝে
In some Muslim communities, their leaders have decided that they are not to join in the verification process.
তোমারা এমবিসি কার্ড যদি ল দলে দেশিয়ানা তাই পারিবা নলে তোমারা দেশ তাই দিনদিন তোমার গরুয়া দিলাম তোমার দাসে পুরা ফেলাইম
We would appreciate it if all friends could persuade them to join in the process because they have nothing to lose by it.
The National Verification Card is a card which allows you to say that you have now become part of the national verification process. What is the process? There is no such process.
But this is a process which needs cooperation from all communities.
The National Verification Card is a way of pressuring the Rohingya to legally identify themselves as foreigners so that they legally won't be under the jurisdiction of the Burmese government.
MBC card kori sisian loile yara koala to side dia ode jaga ara bidar giros ekai hat gana dasa ara kekel lori suri bare din dana variun shara shis begin সরকারের যাবে গো ইতারা তুডা আছে ara tu দিন মজুরি লইলে হা করিব দিন দিলা গোর মানে গোর বানা আরার আছে হাইলা বেতন লা বানা গিয়া বানা ফলাইবো গুলাম বানা ফলাইবো
And their refusal to sign it led the military to decide that either you got to get out or we're going to kill you if you don't sign it.
The military had already moved in reinforcements. So my question is, why?
Unhappily, on 9th October, 3 police outposts were attacked by armed Muslim groups. There were further attacks on 11th October and 12th November, and these clashes resulted in loss of lives, injuries, burning of villages, and the displacement of peoples in the affected areas. Consequent to these attacks, the government declared the Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army responsible for acts of terrorism in accordance with the Counter-Terrorism Law, Section 5, Section 6, Subsection 5.
ARSA is the Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army. It is the new name or the reformed name of what I would call a ragtag group of rebels that live in northern Rakhine State. They have reportedly attacked the military in October 2016 and August 2017, but frankly we don't really have evidence beyond the Burmese military and ARSA, both of which are not credible sources of information.
I know I do Boromanga like Kamila, Money left some other very. I needed so much on like. Got a Kikano or a Gere, Arika. Bakura Dilegor.
Burmese military, okay, even if ASA is true, their tactic is never to attack the armed groups. They will attack the population. And that's what happened with the Rohingya.
Lonjoro mo gaya
প্রতিদিন মানুষ বেড়াঙ্গি মোরা গলে গয় বেড়িয়াঙ্গি ঘর থাকে তো বেড়াঙ্গি নথালি আর ডরানে নডরা জাতি যেনিলা মনে হয় হিন্দিলা গয় এর রান্য একদিন ন প্রত্যেকদিন ঘর বাড়ি ঘুরাই দিয়ে হা আসছে আর বিলা কিলো মাঝে রই দি আর হইতে হা যাই Cuando morí de gogo ya ya estoy en la bici. No entiendo más que fa poti din মানুষ বেড়াঙ্গি মোরা গলে গয় এটা আয়ের লই যাবার হই হই দিন তোর লই যাবার হই হই দিন
အခုဟာကရခိုင်ပြည်နယ်နဲ့ပတ်သက်လို့မဟုတ်မှန်တဲ့သတင်းတွေလွှင့်ထုတ်နေတယ်လောက်ကြံတဲ့သတင်းတွေလွှင့်ထုတ်နေတာရှိတယ်လောက်ကြံသတင်းတွေတကယ်တက်ကလည်းမလုပ်ဖဲနဲ့လုပ်တယ်ဆိုပြီးမရင်းကျင်းတယ်ဆိုပြီးလုပ်တာတွေရှိတယ်မဟုတ်ဘူးဒါတွေကဘာလို့လောက်ကြံပြီးသတင်းတွေလွှင့်နေတာ
2017, military started reinforcing all their troops, and they were combat troops. They were not honorary garrison troops.
Well, the Burmese army brought in gunship helicopters from which they were firing weapons and artillery, rocket launchers.
We have reports from Rakhine that they were told officially by the military that they needed to leave in the few days before the 25th of August. This was in preparation for the genocidal attacks that happened later on in August.
After several months of seemingly quiet and peace, on the 25th of August, 30 police outposts, as well as the regimental headquarters in Downdanza village, were attacked by armed groups. The security forces have been instructed to take full measures to avoid collateral damage and the harming of innocent civilians. We have never been soft on human rights in this country.
তুলাতুলি হালত করে 30 তারিখ অগস্ট 2017 বুধবার দিন ঠিক 8টা বাজে আছে মিলিটারি তুলাতুলি করলে আইছে ও উত্তর মাথা তুজি
বাজে মারে হলে বাজে ये gore जड़ा वाला की तो बुरा मोले से बारे ये वाला तो हम मारे वाला आर माया हाथ दे जब दुनिया की देखते हैं प्रजन
Gura Fanzun actually on a tal house for Nildin on not on Jaldizi. Kisu in a Faladi Gura Point?
Faladi, Tara Satian or the ready.
Arcasudas answered another Gura Point, a city at Halak Faladis.
They had then Roman and Twitter. I know in Hindi. Bahuru I know in Sulamadi, Bayo, Bonos in Hindi. তারপরে আর আইনলাম মাঝে যত মানুষ তুলা রই তো ফারগার তো তুলি মারা যাদুন আর তুলনা হারদে গুলি মারদে গুললা বলে কে জানি তুলনা
পুরোনোর বাদে দুয়া বাজে দেখে তুনত গরি গরি আছে 6 জন 7 জন গরি গরি মাইয়া ভাই নকল ফসমিকে তুলে গরি দেখা যা আর ইতার কোনো খবর নাই আর হবসান হদ্দে জিয়া বা ফারাই মত্তর খাল তুড়ি মত্তর কা হবসান আছে খবর গাঁত মধ্যে হন্য ফেলাই আর ডর গাছ আছে তুলা গাছ বট গাছ কল আছে যে পুরানা বট গাছ যাওয়া তিনার আর বলে গুলি মারা আছে না দিলা নজে জজেন দিলা পরে জ্বরের ফুড়া গুলি মারাও দিলা যে
মারি ওরে করে কেরাসি তেলে দি ফুরা দি ফেলে মুরাদ মাদে জঙ্গল মাদে গিয়া লুকা থেকে বাতানি হাদিরি সিনতে বাতানি দাহানাদার জরোদের যুগ খদার কসম যুগ বিয়া গুঙ্গা হাত মাদি বেড়াই গিয়ে জন লেখা দিলিও জন লেখা দিই তারপরে নাককুন্ডিয়া হের থিয়াই বাদে ইন থুরো গুলি মারা শুরু করছে তারপরে ইন্তু ভুল হয়ে যায় ওরে
কল্লা আর নাচি আসে সারি নাচি আর নাচি না ওসল আছে
এরেকা শিলহালি কান ফারাসে ইয়ার মাদে মেম্বার সোনালি মেম্বার হেরে বই হেরে বাতানি হাবাই ও আল্লাহ ইবাদুল্লাহ রাহমাতুল্লাহ মানুষ না মুসলমান কিন্তু বলে যায় রে তারপরে ইনশাআল্লাহ রে করে বাংলাদেশে নিয়ে যান
এই 2000 को के बारे हेला दुख अल्लाह रे इंडे नवारिब आयो रे गुरागारा नले फराद देन किसु 2000 को
Ada gobaya se baya bar bo fado jan hazon degro in bogon ada mare fela military du basar aga bondu abayo gama gar fuaga monotolya morigile jago thok ki gori monotolya bammat fuanta lare dito sala dihare Bamma hadim bonan hadim bayan hadim di baran la
25,000 Rohingya were killed by the military during that time. As Min Aung Hlai, the head of the military, he called it unfinished business. The business being the destruction of the Rohingya.
Do a mere Rohingya bo. Oiro mere Bengali bo no. Dari utat gimana? Luar lagi. Tahu kuat. Nya biro, jangan ni me fagu. Nya biro, tanfi cina bo.
Edo hada bangili in hari mana na hari mori mana dah hui aja bamma mori gede Rohingya hai dunia te pura gede bamma arai zeta khallo mori khallo in Rohingya per adi mara dah sama mari tara dah jam mere khari ara hana na gaji
arkani baire arkanor ho bore shunore হাজার মারি ফেলে রে রোহিঙ্গা জাতি রে এ ভাইয়ান হাজার মারি ফেলে রে রোহিঙ্গা জাতি রে আর কানি বাইরে রোহিঙ্গা জাতির আইলাম শোনো রে হাজার মারি ফেলে রে রোহিঙ্গা জাতি রে এ ভাইয়ান হাজার মারি ফেলে রে রোহিঙ্গা জাতি রে